Alright, hey everyone, and welcome back to a new episode of Merchandise Mondays, and today we're taking a look at these. So what are these things? Well, these are NanoBlock figures, and they make a fun sound. Listen to this. Yes, they make some fun sounds. Anyway, these are NanoBlock figures, and when did these figures come out? Do you know, it must have been about a year ago to the day that these figures came out, I think. It's Figure Sonic. When did these figures come out? Yeah, I think it must have been about a year ago to the day, actually. I know it was early in 2020 that these got released, and unfortunately, not a lot of Sonic fans actually picked these up, and I think that's a shame, because having spent some time looking at these recently, I really like them, and I think that they should tie us over until an actual LEGO Sonic set eventually gets confirmed and released. Anyway, before we get too far into this, I have to mention that this video is actually being sponsored by Hotline Swanee. In fact, the music you can hear right now, which is playing under my voice, is an example of their work. I felt that this would be a more appropriate use of a sponsorship for this video, so hopefully you won't find this too intrusive, and if you do happen to like the sound of their music, I highly recommend their lo-fi playlist, or even their synthwave selection, which I have a feeling a lot of you guys will really get a kick out of. You can find a link to their channel in the video description below. And with that out of the way, on with today's video. So what exactly are NanoBlock figures? Well, it would be very easy just to dismiss these as a mere LEGO clone, and to be fair, literally any construction toy that uses bricks is going to get that label. But I feel that these are just a little bit more than a mere attempt at cloning a popular toy brand. NanoBlock is made by Kawada in Japan, and they've always tried to stand out from more popular construction brands by being both very cost effective and really efficient when it comes to their presentation and design. I'll explain what I mean by that when we take a closer look at the Sonic figures, but one other way in which NanoBlock is trying to stand out from the competition is with licensing deals. Whilst it's true that NanoBlock does have some more generic and universal designs, NanoBlock also produce a range of Pokemon figures, and even Street Fighter 2 has joined their range. And in 2020, they got the Sonic license and added a host of modern Sonic figures to their line. So you may have noticed that these actually have the Sega 60th Go Sega logo on them, and not the Sonic 30th anniversary logo. Well, that's simply down to the fact that these were released in early 2020, which probably explains why not many fans were able to pick these up. One big thing that I do like about these figures, which goes back to what I said about the presentation being very efficient, is that they're around the size of a PlayStation 4 game, and they make a fun sound when you shake the box. Another thing that I really like about these figures is that they keep their original Japanese packaging. No standardized Sonic style guide graphics for this range, which is something that I really appreciate, because as cool as some of the approved imagery is, it does get really dull after a while when literally every company that is releasing something is using it on the packaging for their products. Each figure in the set is between 140 and 160 pieces, and according to the company, it takes a new user around 1 to 2 hours to completely build a single figure. So, because that would be nearly a 6-hour long video, I'm not going to be building all of these on camera. No, really, I'm not. However, I will build one on camera if enough people ask for that video in the comments. So, if like me, when you actually buy these figures, you decide to build them instead of just keeping them in the box and shaking them around, each figure has its own instruction guide, and the pieces are split up into their own separate compartments, which makes the building process a little bit easier, though you can always mix them up if you wanted to increase the challenge just a little bit. And several hours later, I finally finished. So let's now take a closer look at each of these figures in some more detail, and if you happen to like these figures and want any in your house, you can find some links to buy them in the video description. Anyway, let's start off with the main man himself, Sonic. So this is actually modern Sonic the Hedgehog doing the classic finger wag pose, and believe it or not, this was actually the hardest figure to construct by a long way. A combination of the instructions not being too clear and a few complicated sections of his head, it put this one far ahead of the others in this set in terms of difficulty. It took around 2 hours to fully complete this figure, and most of that time was restarting Sonic's head due to the difficult instructions. When he's completed, he does require the use of a see-through set of bricks to help stand on his own accord, which is fine. You really won't see that when you have this figure on display. Overall, and this is true for pretty much every figure in the set, it's a really nice looking figure. Whilst it's based on the modern designs of the characters, due to the pixel-like effect of the blocks, it gives this unique cross-generation look, which really makes it stand out against other Sonic figures. No articulation unfortunately, aside from some slight movement in Sonic spikes. Now let's move on to Tails. Again, this figure has turned out really nice, and like Sonic, it's quite durable and has a small stand to help keep balanced when he's on display. I really like how Tails' tails have actually turned out, as well as the ears. Once again, we have some Tails merch that still makes him look cute. I might go as far as to say that this is actually a must-have for fans of Tails. I really like how this one turned out. Onto Knuckles. And this could be my favourite figure in the set. Knuckles simply looks awesome. The pose on this figure is my favourite by a long way. Knuckles in a fighting stance, throwing a fist. It looks awesome, but it's his eyes that really sell the tone of this figure. He looks like he's just ready to go beat up some badniks. This also happened to be one of the easiest figures in the set to build, and a funny thing happened during the building process. I decided just for fun to add legs to his head and posted the picture on Twitter with the name Waddles the Echidna. Shortly after that, a few people decided they really liked Waddles and decided to do drawings of him, and that became my new favourite meme for the whole 2 minutes that it lasted. So, thank you to everybody out there who tweeted pictures of Waddles the Echidna at me. If anybody else watching this decides they want to draw Waddles the Echidna, feel free to tweet them my way. It will probably put a smile on my face. And whilst I was editing this video together, I decided to tweet out a picture of Leg the Fox, Sonic's best friend. And much like with Waddles the Echidna, somebody actually drew fan art of this, and I think it looks pretty awesome. So once again, if you quite like Waddles the Echidna or Leg the Fox, feel free to draw fan art and tweet it my way. It will probably put a smile on my face. Anyway, Waddles aside, this is one really well made figure. I can't rate this one highly enough, but for now, we've got to move on to Dr. Eggman. Hey, another really awesome looking figure, and believe it or not, this was actually one of the easiest figures to build despite how complicated the face looks. The detail on this figure, it's quite basic, but it really helps enhance the details on Eggman's character, such as the various colour schemes and even textures of his jacket. In fact, they've actually captured Eggman extremely well, from his face, moustache, and even goggles. It really is an incredible little figure, another highly recommended one. And now, Amy. Amy was a really easy figure to build, and also one of the most enjoyable. Most of the detail is around her face, and unfortunately I don't really know what else to say on this, since her pose is kinda standard, and other than the fact that she has a large support stand, I really can't think of much to say about her. It literally is just a modern Amy Rose figure. It's not a bad figure, in fact it was one of the most enjoyable figures to build, but when it's finished it just is kinda there. It just unfortunately looks a bit unremarkable. But let's finish with one of the most complicated looking figures, Shadow. This guy was right up there with Sonic in terms of difficulty to build, but like with Sonic, the final figure looks really good. There's a lot of detail on this, and each of Shadow's spikes has the ability to be moved and posed as desired in a few limited ways. His facial expression makes him look really mean and angry. In fact, the only really negative point I can think of with regards to this figure is that his pose just looks a little bit basic, especially when compared to Knuckles and Sonic. But purely in terms of how it looks when it's up on display, it's one of the better figures in the set. If you're interested in picking this one up, Shadow fans, links to do so in the video description. So then, now that we've taken a close look at them, time for the big question. Should you actually pick them up? Are they actually worth the price point? Well, the short answer is yes. Yes, they are. I genuinely didn't think that these would be that good when constructed. I thought that they'd be fragile and would just fall to pieces if you so much as breathed onto them. If anyone out there picked up the old Palindome Pixel Brick Sonic figures, you know exactly what I'm talking about when I say that. But to give you an example as to how durable these figures actually are, when I took a break from filming, I could hear this scratching noise, and when I turned around, my cat Mushi had jumped into my setup and was giving Sonic a few bops, and absolutely nothing happened. He remained completely intact. So long as you don't throw them around and just keep them on display, they'll be perfectly fine and probably even survive the odd accidental knockover. They're also really charming and put together really well. When you start the construction, you will have this thought of, how will this end up looking like a Sonic character? But around 1 to 2 hours later, it's just suddenly there, and it takes you completely by surprise. So I definitely recommend these if you've not yet picked them up. There's a few Amazon links in the video description to a few of the figures if you are interested. Also, if you'd like me to actually build one of these from scratch on camera, please let me know in the comments, and I can definitely look into doing that. A huge thank you goes out to this video sponsor, Hotline Swanny. Again, I hope you really enjoyed his music. Please check out his channel because there's a lot more on there and some of it is really, really good. And who knows, maybe we'll hear more of his music on this channel in the future. And if you are interested in sponsoring my channel, please get in touch and we can definitely work something out. Thank you so much for watching this video. Please let me know your thoughts on these figures in the comments, and I'll see you again next time. Really impressed with these. I'm genuinely surprised at how much I've enjoyed making these and how good the final products are. I honestly thought that these things would fall apart if you just touch them gently, and I mean, it's still intact. Oh. Okay.
So, I'm just sat here filming my Eggman figure, and my cat came to watch but has fallen asleep standing up. So that's a thing my cat can do.
Hey guys, thank you so much for checking out this episode of Badnik Mechanic. If you enjoyed it, please don't forget to click that like, subscribe, and the bell notification button. If you'd like to support the channel further, please don't forget to check out my Patreon page, or consider following me on Twitter for more adventures. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again next time.